Greetings, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, nighttime, way past you should be staying up, or way too early to be up. This is Justin Curlin, here to teach you about the 30 Years' War. Let's get started. Alright, so let's get started. Let's talk about the causes of the war. The Peace of Augsburg in 1555 allowed the individual princes of the Holy Roman Empire to choose what religion they wanted to practice. They had the choice between Catholicism and Protestantism. This worked for about 60 years. It was smooth sailing. Everything was going good until Ferdinand II. Ferdinand II was elected emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. He was a Catholic Habsburg and wanted the HRE to be Catholic. His election and imposing of Catholicism angered the Protestants across the Holy Roman Empire, who had been granted freedom in the Peace of Augsburg. Alright, now let's talk about the direct cause of the 30 Years' War. In May 1618, Protestant rebels threw two Holy Roman Empire members out of a window some 70 feet in the air. Both councilmen fell into a pile of manure and suffered only minor injuries. They were alright. However, this incident greatly angered Ferdinand II. He didn't like the disrespect that his members were shown, especially since they were Protestant. This incident became known as the Defenestration of Prague and would lead to the start of the war. Alright, now let's talk about the Bohemian phase of the war. This started in 1618. It was the start of the war. It lasted from 1618 to 1625. The area known as Bohemia had a large amount of Protestants, but they had a Catholic ruler, Catholic prince. This area is modern-day Czech Republic. Ferdinand II wanted to get his point across that he was meant to be respected, and he would do so by military strength. He wanted the Protestants in that area to know that he was the ruler now, and this disrespect to the Catholics by Protestants or by anyone would not be tolerated. Ferdinand II had Catholic League troops and his own Catholic HRE troops. They were commanded by Baron Tilly, and at the Battle of White Mountain, 27,000 Holy Roman Empire troops fought against 30,000 Protestant troops. It was a major victory for the Catholic HRE. Protestantism was eventually eliminated for Bohemia, and the Bohemian phase was thus completed and was a soaring Catholic Holy Roman Empire victory. Alright, so now on to the Danish phase of the war, which lasted from 1625 to 1629. After the defeat of the Protestant Bohemians, the Lutheran King of Denmark, Christian IV, decided to assist the Protestants and attacked the Catholic HRE. Ferdinand II was assisted by General Wallenstein and his army of 50,000 troops. By 1628, Wallenstein had 125,000 troops at his disposal and had handed the Danish several devastating defeats. The Protestants were handed yet another crippling defeat by the Catholics. The Treaty of Lubeck of 1629 restored Wallenstein to Christian IV, but the Danish king had to pledge not to intervene further in German affairs. The Danish period of the war, like the Bohemian, thus ended with a Habsburg and Catholic victory. With the end of the Danish phase, Ferdinand II issued the Edict of Restitution in 1629. The Edict of Restitution outlawed Calvinism and restored all church lands to Catholic churches. This led to the Swedish king Gustavus Adolphus entering the war, ending the Danish phase, and starting the Swedish phase. On to the next one. Alright guys, now let's talk about the Swedish phase of the war, which lasted from 1630 to 1635. During the Swedish phase of the war, Gustavus Adolphus was the military leader of the Protestants. He is known as the father of modern warfare because of his thinking of mobile artillery and putting that into the battlefield, which gave him an upper hand. The Swedish were the ones fighting, however, their monetary resources were coming from the French. France had always been a Catholic country, but they funded the Protestants because it benefited them. if their HRE was weakened or even destroyed, the French would be the strongest Catholic country in Europe. Adolphus led the Battle of Breitenfeld, which was a devastating blow to the HRE, because it shattered all dreams of uniting Germany under Catholic rule. Gustavus Adolphus, however, dies in battle, which thus led to the end of the Swedish fighting for the Protestant cause. However, they will still continue to fund the French phase of the war. This was a virtual tie because Adolphus had some wins and pushed back the Catholic HRE troops, and it led to France's direct involvement in the 30 Years' War. We're on to the final phase of the war, the French phase, from 1635 to 1648, the end of the war. This phase of the war was the most international phase, and it was also the bloodiest of the 4 phases of the 30 Years' War. Cardinal Richelieu of France felt threatened by the Treaty of Prague, which gave back strength to the Habsburgs in the Holy Roman Empire. Richelieu took it into his own hands, the responsibility of weakening the Catholic HRE. He sought to check the power of the Catholic Habsburg state and maintain France's dominance in Europe. He was a politique, which meant that he took France's own political value over any religious ties that he had to Catholicism. He sided with the Protestants and assisted them in order to make France the strongest Catholic power in Europe. France's army did the fighting while the Swedish funded it, much like in the Swedish phase of the war, the Swedish did the fighting, and the French did the funding. France was able to send a large army into Germany, which helped the Protestants and greatly crippled the Catholic Holy Roman Empire, which would lead to the end of the war in 1648, and to cap it all off, the Peace of Westphalia was signed. Alright, guys, the final thing of the 30 Years' War, the Peace of Westphalia, which was signed in 1648, and it marked the end of the 30 Years' War. What was in the Peace of Westphalia? Well, they renewed the Peace of Augsburg, and it added Calvinism as a politically accepted religion. It ended the HRE's hope of uniting under a single power that would solely follow Catholicism. The Netherlands and Switzerland gained their independence. France, Sweden, and what would soon be Prussia gained land and international stature. And the Spanish Habsburgs were weakened because they didn't have their Holy Roman Empire Habsburgs to support them. France and Prussia also emerged as a great power after the war. Alright, so the final thing for the 30 Years' War is the aftermath of the 30 Years' War. Germany was physically devastated. As much as 1/3 of the population was killed from fighting, disease, all that stuff that normally comes with war. Germany was further divided by the decline of the Holy Roman Empire, which had been in Germany or in the German area for centuries. This was the last of the religious wars. Wars after this wouldn't be fought over solely religion, as wars previously had been. It accelerated the rise of Britain and the Netherlands to power, and it saw the rise of a check of power known as balance of power. That's all I have for you guys today on the 30 Years' War. I hope I taught you a couple things, reminded you of a couple things, and that you guys do great on your AP Euro exam that we all have coming up pretty soon. This is Justin Kirtland signing off. Good night.